everyone, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com, and today's topic I'm bringing to you is called worldly concerns. So it's kind of a round robin of questions that were sent to me that I wanted to look at individually, and I compiled them and put them in one post. So I'll go ahead with the first one. It says, you mentioned the potential, not political, of a universal basic income after a war. Then a day or two later, the CV beer bug began to be referred to as a war. Is this the war? New Zealand's already publicly sharing their discussion of it, and there's an article on my blog itself that talks about considering a universal basic income. They call it a UBI and things like that. So basically, this person wants to know, it was projected that after a war or sometime around a war that they were going to try to implement this, and did this beer bug virus that's out there, was that the start of it? Is that what's causing this? So when I put this question out there and I think about it, what came to me was, we all know there's a basic agenda to have a universal basic income. The PTW, the powers that were that I talk about all the time, have wanted a new world order for a long time, for 20 years. They have been put in motion. They did all these things. That's why they wanted Hillary in office, so she could continue on with what Obama left off. Trump had derailed it, and now they're 20 years set back. So yes, there is an agenda out there. They're desperately wanting this to go through. And part of this new world order is to get people on a universal basic income and currency and electronic currency, so they can tax and see what you're buying and where you're buying it, how much you're buying, all these different things. I also get that that's another reason why China had to be weakened in all of this, because they were competitors for this newly formed electronic currency, since they have the gold and the resources to back it. So not only did they want a worldly basic income, but they want to start to create something on an electronic form so everything can be monitored much more closely. I also get that the beer bug was just the start of this war, and I feel this level of concern every time I really think about it, because with regard to social unrest and economic struggle worldwide, I feel like we're just on the edge of it. There feels like there's so much more yet to happen, but I do see there being light at the end of the tunnel, because I don't get that they're going to be able to see this agenda through in the way they want. They may come up with a universal basic income. They may have an electronic currency. They may try to tie something to it. But ultimately, I don't see this working in the way that they hope and they wish that it will. So there is some positivity in this, even though it feels like we got to go through a struggle to get on the other side of all of it. And then they said, there's a sub-question here. It says, I know that you've looked at it before, but how would you feel about doing an updated reading on the Iraqi dinar? And right now, all money feels a little shaky, but in comparison, if you were to take all of it that's a little shaky, the dinar looks to be somewhat stable. I do get that there is some manipulation with it, like the value is dependent upon something arbitrary, and I didn't fully understand what that meant, but I feel like people investing in dinar know what that means. I would say in terms of currency, though, it's overall, it has stability. Okay, then the next question I pulled to put with this says, Lynn, can you do a reading about the recent earthquakes in Utah and Texas? Are they man-made to blow up underground tunnels? What can you tell us about the underground tunnels and installations at Denver airport? And then there's an article on my blog itself that talks more about the airport. And I have seen that probably, I'm going to say a couple weeks ago, we got in pretty deep with this kind of a tactical war. And it's a war of technology. And the real target with all of that was the Colorado airport. And I get that both the Russian and the Chinese, I feel, are somehow tied to this. I get a vibe and I get some kind of connection to them. And I've also seen that a secondary location for public officials is within those tunnels of Colorado. And the foreign enemies, they know this, whether it's through Al Mol or some kind of inside information, or they've intercepted something somewhere. I feel like they know that. They know that's our weak spot. So if they can disrupt this fortified location that houses the continuity of government from the ground up, literally through earthquakes, they can make the leaders a lot more vulnerable, because it's almost like they're saying, hey, you have nowhere to hide. You're out here on the ground, your feet are on the ground just like everybody else. I do not see that they succeed in what they're doing, but I anticipate a lot more earthquakes and tornado activity to be seen within that region of the country for sure. So, I know some kind of heavy stuff in there. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your 2 cents on what you think. What are your thoughts on the universal basic income? You think they're good or bad? I feel like it sounds great, but it's headed toward more control and more. It's going to be electronically tied to something, because they want to tax you. They want to see everything what you're doing. It's going to really be a big breach of privacy. That's my forecast with that. Dinar, fairly okay. The earthquakes in Texas and Utah, they're going to keep happening, because I do feel like there is this very technological thing going on that we don't fully understand yet. But we're like in it, but we just don't know to what capacity. And this feels like just the edge. I just get this unsettled vibe to it. So I'd love to know your thoughts on all these topics. Feel free to leave a comment, like me, share me, all those great things. They help out so much in this day and age of censorship. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thanks. Bye.